It's the OCR GCSE Maths Foundation Non-Calculator Paper 2 from November 2023. Let's get straight into it. Question 1. Multiply 45 times 100. So 45 times 1 is 45, and we need 2 more zeros. Part B, 37 divided by 100. The decimal point is at the end here, and we need to move it back 2 places because there's 2 zeros here. So it's going to move before the 3. So the answer would be 0.37. Part C, 2.36 plus 1.79, making sure everything is in columns, hundredths, tenths, and the units. 9 add 6 is 15. Carry the 1. 1 add 3 is 4. 4 add 7 is 11. Carry the 1. 2 add 1 is 3. Add 1 is 4. 4.15. Part D, 0.82 take away 0.36. Can't do 2 take away 6. Carry 1 over. 12 take away 6 is 6. 7 take away 3 is 4. 0.46. Question 2. Write down 50% of 80. To find 50%, I just need to divide by 2. So 80 divided by 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so 40. Part 2. Use your answer to complete the statement. 50% of 80, which was 40, is the same as what percentage of 160? So 40 out of 160 is the same as 1/4. If I divide the top by 40 and I divide the bottom by 40, 1/4, which is the same as 25%. Part B, write 36 as a fraction of 120. Give your answer in its simplest form. I can see both of these divide by 12. How many 12s into 36? That would be 3. And how many 12s into 120? That would be 10. Can this be simplified? No, so that's my final answer. Question 3. Work out 2/3 plus 2/3. So we already have common denominators. We just need to add the numerators together. 2 add 2 is 4. Keep the denominators the same, so 3. We have 4/3. How many wholes are in this? So how many thirds are in 4? That's 1 whole. We have 1 remaining, and that's over 3, because 3 was the original denominator. Part B, work out 1/4 divided by 1/8. I'm going to use the keep, flip, change method. I keep the first fraction as it is. I flip the second fraction, so it becomes 8 over 1, and I change the divide sign to a multiply. 1 times 8 is 8, and 4 times by 1 is 4. You can think of this line as a divide sign. 8 divided by 4 would just give you 2. Question 4. The bar chart shows the rainfall in millimeters for a city in the first 3 months of the year. Write down the amount of rainfall in February. Go up from February. We can see it's between 30 and 40, halfway between them. So that number would be 35. Part B. Write in its simplest form the ratio, the amount of rainfall in February, which we've already worked out was 35, to the amount of rainfall in March. Going up from March, we can see it's between 50 and 60, so that would be 55. We need to write it in its simplest form. What could both of these divide by? So they both end in 5, so let's divide by 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7, and 55 divided by 5 is 11, so 7 to 11. Part C. The total amount of rainfall in January and February. Let's work that out first. January and February, so that's 70 and 35. So 70 add 35 gives 105. Was the same as the total amount of rainfall in March and April. Work out the amount of rainfall in April. How much rain fell in March? That was 55. And April, we don't know, so we're trying to find out what this number is. What number do we add to 55 to get to 105? Let's do 105 take away 55, which will equal to x. That answer would just be 50. Question 5. Complete the 3 missing values on this multiplication grid. I've already done this first one. I've got -4 multiplied by 9. A negative multiplied by a positive, because they're mixed, I will get a negative answer. So 4 times by 9 would be -36. Here we've got 9 multiplied by something, which gives us -54. So this number will have to be a negative, because a positive multiplied by a negative will give me a negative, and 54 divided by 9 would be 6. So this number would be -6. Then I've got -5 multiplied by -6. I've got 2 negatives that are multiplied by each other, so I'm going to end up with a positive answer, and 6 times 5 is 30. Question 6. 3 adults, Amos, Beth, and Charlie, are comparing their ages in years. Amos is 32. Beth is 48. And the mean age of Amos, Beth, and Charlie is 50. Work out the age of Charlie. So we're trying to find what Charlie is. How do we work out mean? Mean is just the total divided by the frequency. Frequency just means how many numbers are there. So right now, we know the mean is 50. That's equal to 32 add 48. add whatever Charlie is. We don't know what Charlie is, so we can call him X. That's divided by the frequency. The frequency here is 3 because there's 3 people. We just need to solve this equation. I can see the right hand side is being divided by 3, so I need to multiply by 3 on both sides. That would give me 150 is equal to 32 add 48. 30 add 40 is 70, 78, 80. So 80 plus X is equal to 150. I'm going to take away this 80 from both sides. So 150 take away 80 is equal to 70. So Charlie is 70 years old. Question 7. Which is smaller, 65% or 16 over 25? Let's convert this one into a percentage. I've got 16 over 25, and to convert these into percentages, I want my denominator to become 100, because percentages are always out of 100. What have I multiplied by on the bottom? Multiplied by 4 there, so I'm going to multiply by 4 there. To multiply by 4, you can double twice, so 16, 32, 64. So 64 out of 100, which is the same as 64%. We want the smaller one, so that would be 16 over 25. We use the fraction that's given in the question, because 64% is smaller than 65%. Question 8. 24.2 divided by 0.5. We're dividing by 1/2. This is the same as multiplying by a 2. If you're dividing by a unit fraction, so that just means there's a 1 on the top, you just multiply by the number on the bottom. So if you're dividing by 1 over 5, you would multiply by 5. So what's 24.2 times by 2? 24 times 2, I double that, which is 48. And 0.2 times by 2 is 0.4, so it's 48.4. Part B. Something multiplied by 4 gives me 12.08. So to get this to the other side and to get this number on its own, I need to divide both sides by 4. So I'm doing 12.08 divided by 4. How many 4s go into 12? That's 3. They don't go into 0, so that's 0. 4s into 8 is 2, so it's 3.02. Question 9. 4 apples cost £1.80. Find the cost of 5 of these apples. So 4 apples is equal to £1.80. Let's find out the cost of 1 apple. So we've divided the left by 4. We need to divide this by 4. To divide by 4, I just need to half it twice. Half of 180 is 90, and half of 90 is 45. So it's 45p. We want the cost of 5 of these apples. 2 ways you could do it. You can multiply this by 5, or if you spot that these two would add up to make 5 apples, that would give you your answer. So £1.80 plus 45 gives me £2.25. Part B. By rounding each value to one significant figure, estimate the cost of 8.2 kilos of bananas at 73p per kilo. Give your answer in pounds. I want to round this to one significant figure. This number is significant because there's no 0 at the start, so I'm rounding here. This is telling me that I'm rounding down. If it's 5 or above, I give it a shove. 4 or below, I let it go. So this one would change to 8. Then I've got 73p. Same again, draw my line here. 5 or above, give it a shove. 4 or below, I let it go. So this one will become 70p. I'm doing 8 kilos multiplied by 70p. 8 times by 7 is 56. I need 1 0 at the end, and this is in pence. I want my answer in pounds. There's 100 pence in £1, so I need to divide this by 100, which leaves me with £5.60. Question 10. Choose a word from this list which best describes each statement. I've got 2b plus 2w. This is just an expression because it's not equal to anything. And then we've got pi r squared is equal to 30. So this one would be an equation. Equations are when you have something equal to something else. Question 11. A bag contains only red, green, and blue counters. We've got red, green, and blue. 8 of the counters are red. 15 of the counters are green. The rest of the counters are blue. We don't know what that is. I'll just call it X for now. Sam chooses one counter at random from the bag. The probability that this is a green counter is 3 over 8. So the probability of this happening is 3 out of 8. Work out the number of blue counters in the bag. We're trying to find that number. If we know 15 is equal to 3/8, could we find out what 1/8 is equal to? So that means we need to divide by 3 on both sides. We're dividing by 3 there and dividing by 3 there. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. 1/8 probability would be equal to 5 counters. We want to find out how many counters there are in total. So we're going to multiply this by 8, and we'll multiply this one by 8. 5 times by 8 is 40. Altogether, there are 40 counters. 8 add 15 is 23. Add this number is equal to 40. So this number, 40 take away 23, is just going to be 17. Question 12. Diagram shows two straight lines crossing a pair of parallel lines. Part A, find the value of x. So this is parallel to this line, and I can see I've got a Z shape that's being formed there. That angle is 59, and that angle will also be 59. And the reason for that is because they're alternate to each other. So that x is 59, and I'll put that on there, because alternate angles are equal. So the Z shape is for alternate. Part 2, find the value of y. We're trying to find this value now. This time I can see an upside down F shape being formed, and that means it's corresponding. So the 42 is corresponding to the y. So we can say y is 42 because it is corresponding to 42 degrees. When it's a Z shape, you're looking for alternate. When it's an F shape, you're looking for corresponding. Part B, find the value of Z. We're trying to find this angle, and I can see I've got a triangle that's formed here. Let's first find out that missing angle. So 59 add 42, 59 add 42, 50 add 40 is 90, 99, 101. We need to take that away from 180 because angles in a triangle add up to 180. 180 take away 101 is 79. This angle would be 79. Because this is a straight line, both of these will add up to 180. So we need to do 180 take away 79. That will leave us with 101. So angle Z is 101. Question 13. Work out 3 to the power of 4. This just means 3 times by 3 times by 3 times by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. And 9 times by 3 is 27. 27 times by 3 is going to be 81. Part B, simplify 5x squared over x. Just to explain this a little bit easier, I've got 5 multiplied by x divided by x. That x squared is the same as x times by x. I can cancel these out because it's a common factor, so on the top I'm just left with 5x. You could just do 2 take away 1 because it's the same base and you're dividing, so 5x and the 2 take away 1 would just leave you with 5x. Part C, rearrange this formula to make x a subject. I'm trying to get this x on its own. First thing I can see, it's being divided by 5 and then we're adding 2. So we're going to do the reverse of that. We're going to take away 2 from both sides and then we're going to multiply by 5 on both sides. If I take away 2 from both sides, I first get y take away 2 is equal to x over 5. That's got rid of that plus 2. Next thing I need to do is multiply both sides by 5. So I can just write this as 5 bracket y minus 2. So all of this is being multiplied by the 5 is equal to x. You could expand this out, but this answer would be perfectly fine. That would get you all the marks. Question 14. A sales rep and a manager discuss this graph of sales over the last year. The sales rep says, I can tell from the graph that over the last year, sales have risen every month. Is the sales rep correct? Give a reason for your answer. So you can see it is increasing every month until it gets to June till August, and then it actually goes down between July and August. So the answer would be no, because sales fell between July and August. Part B. I can tell from the graph that the sales are now more than double what they were at the start of the year. Is the manager correct? You can see because he's thought that this is at a level of 2 and this is a level of 5, he thinks that it's just doubled. We can't say that because we don't actually have the values for the y-axis. So the answer here would be no, because the values of the y-axis aren't given. Question 15. Triangle A and triangle B are drawn on the coordinate grid. Describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. There's a few different types of transformations that we could have. So we could have a rotation, an enlargement, a translation, or a reflection. And this one here would be a reflection, because you can see if I put a mirror somewhere down the middle, it would create triangle B. Let's just figure out where that is. First thing I'm going to do is find out the distance between these 2 points. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the mirror would have to be in the middle of those 2, and it would look like this. How would you define this line? So it's where all of the x coordinates are going to be 1. If you labeled these coordinates, that would be 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. So the x coordinate is always going to be 1. So the answer is a reflection in the line x is equal to 1. Question 16. Here are the first 5 terms of a sequence. We've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. It's going up in 4s every time. It's a linear sequence. Write down the next term of the sequence. We just need to add 4. 20 add 4 gives 24. Kai says all of the terms in the sequence are even numbers. That's true. 402 is an even number. That is also true. Therefore, if the sequence is continued, 402 will also be in the sequence. Is Kai correct? Let's look at all of these numbers. All of these are multiples of 4. This sequence is just 4n. Is 402 a multiple of 4? I know that 4 times by 100 is 400, and then 1 after that would be 404. So that means 402 is not a multiple of 4. So the answer is no, because 402 isn't a multiple of 4. Part B. Here are the first 5 terms of another sequence, 0.25, 0.5, 1, 2, and 4. I can see it's been doubled every time. We're multiplying by 2. Write down the next term of the sequence. 4 times by 2 is 8. Explain how you worked your answer. I just doubled 4. Question 17. A motorist wants to buy a new car but does not have enough money. The price of the car is £16,000. The motorist sees this notice for a deal on the car they want to buy. The number of equal monthly payments is hidden. You pay 15% of the price of the car now, and then equal monthly payments of £300. Work out the number of monthly payments if the total cost of the car to the motorist is £17,400. This motorist wants to buy this car for £16,000, but he's going to end up paying £17,400. That's because he's paying on a payment plan. So he's paying 15% first, and he's paying £300 every month until he reaches a payment altogether of £17,400. We're trying to work out how many months that he's paying this £300 for. So let's first work out 15% of 16,000. 15% of 16,000. An easy percentage that I can find first is 10%. 10%, I just need to divide by 10. 16,000 divided by 10 would be 1,600. To find 5%, the bit that I need remaining, I divide that by 2, so I need to divide that by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8, and I need 2 zeros. Now I can find what 15% is. I just add these two numbers up. 16 plus 8 is 24, so it's going to be 2,400. So the deposit is 2,400. So of the total amount that he's paying, 17,400, he's already paid 2,400. If I take these two away, this is quite nice. It leaves me with 15,000. Each month, he's paying £300. So we need to do 15,000 divided by 300. We'll cancel out these zeros. We're left with 150 divided by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and I need one more zero. So the answer is 50 months. Question 18. A box contains only red, green, and black pens. The ratio of red to green to black is 1 to 4 to 11. That's red to green to black. Work out the percentage of the pens that are green. We have 4 parts that are green, and altogether, how many parts are there in total? 1 add 4 is 5, 5 add 11 is 16, so that's 16. This can be simplified, divide by 4 to become 1 quarter. I know 1 quarter is the same as 25%. Part B, there are 24 more green pens than red pens. Work out the total number of pens in the box. Let's rewrite the ratio out first. I've got red to green to black, which is in 1 to 4 to 11. It says 24 more green than red. Green to red is 4 to 1, so how many more parts of green do I have than red? That's 4, take away 1, which is equal to 3 parts. Those 3 parts are going to be equal to the 24 that they told me in the question. Let's find out what 1 part is. I divide by 3 here, and I need to divide by 3 there. 24 divided by 3 is 8. We're trying to find the total number of pens. So altogether, there are 16 parts. 8 times by 16. 8 times 8 is 64, and if I double that, I get 128. So it's 128 pens. Question 19. A solid wooden block has a volume of 900 centimeter cubed. The density of the wood is 0.7 grams per centimeter cubed. Calculate the mass of the wooden block. Give the units of your answer. So here we're going to be using the mass, density, volume formula triangle, and we're trying to find mass, which is equal to the density multiplied by the volume. Here the density is 0.7. We're multiplying that by 900. I'm going to rewrite this out. If I multiply this one by 10 and I divide this one by 10, it might make it a bit easier. That becomes 7 multiplied by 90. 7 times by 9 is 63, and I need 1 0. And this unit, because it's mass, it's going to be in grams. Question 20. Here is the table of values for y equals 6 over x plus 2. They've already filled out the table of values for us. Draw the graph of y equals 6 over x plus 2 for these values. So we're just plotting these points onto the graph. Need to use a pencil for this one just in case we make any mistakes. So I've got negative 6 and 1, which would be over here. Negative 3 and 0, negative 3 and 0, which is there. Negative 2 and negative 1, which is there. Negative 1 and negative 4, which is there. 1 and 8, which is here. 2 and 5, there. 3 and 4, and 6 and 3. Now that I've plotted all my points, I'm going to draw a smooth curve going through both parts. So I'll draw a smooth curve here, and I'll draw a smooth curve here. The main thing is I don't want these lines touching the y-axis because they will never actually touch that y-axis. Question 21. Diagram shows a rectangle with length 3x minus 4 and width x plus 2, which is already on the diagram. The length of the rectangle is twice the width of the rectangle. So this is saying that if I multiply that by 2, I get that. Calculate the area of the rectangle. So to work out areas of rectangle, we need to multiply the base by the height. So we need to find these values first. It tells us that if I double this, I get this. So I'm going to multiply this one by 2. I'll write 2x plus 2. That's in a bracket because I need to multiply all of it by 2, is equal to 3x minus 4. Let's solve this. I need to expand this bracket out first, so I'm going to multiply the 2 by the x, which is 2x. 2 times by 2, which is 4, is equal to 3x minus 4. I want my x's to be on one side, and I'd prefer to have positive x's, so I'm going to move them to where there's more of them. So I'm going to move them to the right-hand side. So I'm going to take away 2x from both sides. That leaves me with 4 is equal to 3x take away 2x is x, take away 4. We're taking away 4 from the right-hand side, so we need to add 4 to both sides to get rid of that. 4 add 4 is 8, so x is equal to 8. Now that I know the values of x, I can substitute those in and find the length and the width. So 3 times by 8, I've substituted that x for 8. Take away 4. 3 times 8 is 24. Take away 4 is 20. Here I've got 8 plus 2, which is 10. So the lengths are 10 and 20. Multiply those two together. 10 by 20 is 200. And the units would be 200 centimeters squared. Question 22. A teacher is planning a theme day for the 500 pupils at their school. The teacher asks a sample of 20 pupils from year 8 which theme they would prefer. The results are shown. Describe 2 disadvantages of the teacher's sampling methods. So the first issue is that the teacher has only asked 20 pupils out of 500. So the population size is very small. So we can write small population size. We'll write where it is as a fraction, 20 over 500. Divide that by 5 and then divide that by 5. I get that over 100. 20 divided by 5 is 4, so it's the same as 4%, which is very small. The second reason is that they're only asking students from year 8. They need to be asking students from all the years so that they get results that are representative of all the students in the school. Part B. Using the results from the table, the teacher estimates that 175 pupils in the school would prefer a sport theme. Here is the teacher's method. 7 out of 20. So 7 out of the 20 pupils multiplied by 500. That's how many students there are, which is 175. So all of this is technically correct, but write down one assumption the teacher has made when making the estimate. So the assumption that they made is that this data, these sets of results, are representative of all of the students when we're only asking 20 pupils from year 8, but we want something that's representative of 500. So this isn't enough. So the assumption is that this data is representative of the whole school. Question 23. The diagram shows a town T and a straight road AB, and the scale 2 centimeters represents 1 kilometer. A new straight road is built from town T to the road AB. The road is the shortest possible distance from town T to the road AB. We need to draw a line from T to AB, and it needs to be the shortest line possible. So it needs to be a perpendicular bisector. There needs to be a right angle there and a right angle there. I've recreated the question here, and this is what we do. So we place our point of the compass on the point T. I'm going to draw a curve that goes through A and B. It doesn't really matter where. We've done the first step. Now I'm going to move the compass so that the point is on the point where it crossed. I'm going to draw a curve here. I'm going to do the same point where it crossed AB again, drawing a curve from there. we can see there's a point of intersection here, and I'm going to join T up with this point of intersection. And that'll be my final answer. And you can see this line that goes from T through AB is going through AB, and it's creating two right angles there as well. That means it's the shortest distance from T to AB. It looks something like this. Part B, the new road costs £200,000 per kilometre to build. The road constructor says the new road will cost over £600,000 to build. How much is £600,000 in terms of centimetres? So if it's £200,000 per kilometre and £600,000 altogether, it's going to be 3 kilometres, or on the diagram, it's going to be 6 centimetres. And when we measure this distance from T to AB, it doesn't give us a distance of 6 centimetres. It gives us about 5.4 centimetres. So we can say the distance from T to AB is only 5.4 centimetres, and the constructor thinks it is 6 centimetres or more. Question 24. A straight line passes through the points 0, 5 and 2, 13. So this is quite useful because this is a y-intercept. Find the equation of the line in the form y equals mx plus c. So the general form of the equation of a line is this, where this is the gradient and this is the y-intercept, and we've already got that value, which is helpful. So c is 5, the y-intercept. We just need to find what m is, and then we can create that. How could we get a gradient from 2 points? So the gradient is the change in y divided by the change in x. You might have heard of it as rise over run. So we're going to do the change in y, which is 13 take away 5. And then because we did 13 take away 5, we have to do 2 take away 0. We can't do 0 take away 2. It has to be in the same order. 2 take away 0. 13 take away 5 is 8. 2 take away 0 is 4. 8 divided by 4 is 2. My gradient is 2. Now that I've got my two pieces of information, I can write out my equation. I know y is equal to, the gradient is 2x, and the y-intercept is 5, so it's plus 5. Question 25. 2 to the power of 7 multiplied by 2 to the power of m equals 1/2. Find the value of m. How could I rewrite this half as a power of 2? I know that if I have 2 to the power of negative 1, it will make this the reciprocal of 2, so that'd be 1 over 2. I'm going to rewrite this as 2 to the power of 7 times by 2 to the power of m is equal to 2 to the power of negative 1. And if I have the same base and I'm multiplying, I need to add the powers. So I've got 2 to the power of 7 plus m is equal to 2 to the power of negative 1. Now that I've got 2 to the power of something is equal to 2 to the power of something, that's telling me that these two are equal to each other. So 7 plus m is equal to negative 1. I'm going to take away 7 from both sides to be left with m. That'll get rid of that 7. So m is equal to negative 1 take away 7, which is negative 8. Question 26. A triangle has sides of lengths 6, 10 and 12. Is this a right angled triangle? Show how you decide. So the way we prove if a triangle is right angled or not, we use Pythagoras. So let's just draw this one out first. We've got 6 and 10, and the 12 would have to be the hypotenuse. It has to be the longest one. And the formula for Pythagoras is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. And if this is true for these values, that means it will be a right angled triangle. And if it is not true, that means it's not a right angled triangle. So I'm going to do 6 squared plus 10 squared, which are my a and b values. And if that's equal to 12 squared, that means it is a right angled triangle. 6 squared is 36, 10 squared is 100, 36 as 100 is 136. What's 12 squared? 12 squared is 144. 136 is not 144, so the way we can write that is 136 is not 144. Therefore, this is not a right angled triangle. That's the end of the questions for today. I recommend you go through all of the questions that you struggle with and write down the topics that you did before you attempt any other past papers. You can find more papers and more worked solutions on my channel, so feel free to check them out, including the ones from this year's set. I'll see you soon.